Hello and welcome to the Spotlight on Atlantic Television. My name is Daura Kelly. On this program, we deal with topical issues affecting the nation. And right now we have a series profiling the presidential candidates for the 2023 general elections. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. And today we have with us the presidential candidate for the Social Democratic Party, Prince Adewole Adebayo. You're welcome to Atlantic Television Spotlight program.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
The question one might ask is, what is a successful businessman and an established legal luminary doing in the murky waters of Nigerian politics?
Essentially to remove muck from the waters, because the murky waters will block the vision of the country. We all need the water. It's not a choice. Whatever you do, you have to go back to that water to drink from it, to use it for your essential needs. So you have to go into the water to remove the muck. You cannot just look down on it, because whether you go to the murky waters or not, after a while, the murky waters will come to you. And that murky water is getting into our eyeballs now. So we need to do something about it.
Social Democratic Party did participate in the 2019 general elections, and its showing was not quite remarkable, so to speak. Why do you think that it will be different in 2023?
Well, in the 2019 general election, the Social Democratic Party did not actually participate. It opted out due to some internal issues and the interpretation by the leadership of that time of the politics of the time. So the party did not campaign and did not participate. That was what happened in 2019. So this year is different. The party is participating, the party is contesting, the party is doing everything that it needs to do. In 2019, the party contested some governorships and House of Representatives and Senate, or House of Assembly, but it did not contest in the presidential. It actually, the leadership was split into two. One side supported one of the other parties, the other side supported the opposite side. So, but things are different now. In 2023, the challenge in the country is different. We are battling for the soul of the country. There may be no country left by the end of next year, if we ever get there, unless we decisively put a stop to what's going on in the country today. In 2019, we were shutting down schools in the Federal Capital Territory because we're running away from bandits. We didn't have this runaway inflation. We don't have our currency rapidly falling to the point of the other side towards 1,000 to the dollar. So it's gone past midpoint now. And, we don't have this level. We never had NSAS at that time. We didn't have a situation where we are in today where you can't commute in any part of the country. And so these are the things which I think makes it necessary for every patriot to take a stand one way or the other. And I think the stand we've taken in the SDP is to take the presidency and make something good out of it for the country.
How does the Social Democratic Party intend to stand up to the two big legacy parties, the Action Congress, the APC, and the PDP? How do you intend to go against these parties that are ingrained within the structure of the Nigerian political fabric?
No, they're not ingrained. They are small parties and young parties compared to us. We've been around since 1989. So they are just party that came 10 years after. And they're not ingrained anywhere because of the fact that each of them has had now at least 8 years to show what they have.
The PDP 16 years.
Yeah, and at
And
least 8
the
years.
APC 8 years.
Yes, so, and no one is happy with them. They're not happy with themselves. They are unsure of themselves. And what they are doing now is try to cut their losses and thinking that maybe if they return some of the money that they pilfered from the system for the election day and give some to some Nigerians they are put in desperate situations, they think that maybe that will be their Hail Mary for them. So that's basically what they are doing. So they are not ingraining anywhere. Uh, so what we are trying to do is give Nigerians what was not there before, which is to give a viable alternative, not a complaining platform, an actual polling unit by polling unit contest to give Nigerians an opportunity to talk to them, to show that there's a pathway, because as far back as 4, maybe even 8 years ago, Nigerians had shown that they were tired of the incumbent and they were looking for alternative. And in 2015,
and yet he was brought back into power in 2019.
Yeah,
If Nigerians were so tired, why was he not booted out in 2019?
Yeah, because however much tired you are of the house in which you live, you don't go on the street until you find another house. You stay there. However tired you are of the country in which you live, you don't do anything until you have a visa to another one. However tired you are of your car, until you get another one, you have to use it. So what Nigerians have demonstrated is that they are tired. But what was missing was a viable
alternative,
credible alternative. And in 2015, when a fake version of that alternative came, in the name of the APC, Nigerians jumped at it because they were tired after 16 years. And in 2019, they were already getting tired of the APC. They knew they had missed that one, and they got into the wrong vehicle. But there was no alternative in 2019.
For someone, that has not participated in the electoral process, in terms of going through the ranks, like some would say, you are almost a newbie in politics, so to speak. How do you intend to stand up to the likes of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi as well of the Labour Party, who has governed the state? How do you intend to stand up to these three and the others as well?
I don't see any need to stand up to them. They are not upstanding.
The three of them.
Neither of them is able to run on their record, so the record is useless.
Obi can't run on his record. He doesn't have a record to run on.
You don't need to talk about Obi. Just walk through Onitsha and walk through Anambra State and see whether it looks like Dubai to you. So
you think he has failed? He failed in his 8 years of leadership in Anambra State?
Well, that's his own personal problem, but you can see that if you are traveling around in the country in search of what is wrong, in each of the 36 states, you will find the same problem. If you are looking for poverty, you will find poverty in all the 36 states. If you are looking for poor educational standards and outcomes, you will find in each of the 36 states. If you are looking for potholes, you will find. If you are looking for dysfunctional hospitals, you will find.
He brandishes his achievements in elevating the educational status of Anambra State from a very low point from when he got into government to somewhere that he feels is enviable.
Yes, Anambra people will tell you if there are people coming from Canada to attend school in Anambra State, whether the universities there are ranking above that of their neighbors, whether students from their tertiary institutions are meeting what standard. You find out whether whether, for example, mortality rate for women who are giving birth is better than that of the neighbor. You know, if
So
we are
you
playing,
believe the figures he's banding are cannot stand the scrutiny?
well, if people want to play politics of honesty, in politics, a lot of things are allowed. So you can say anything you like. The question is, what is the electorate looking for? If the electorate is looking for entertainment and drama and lies, they will get it, and they will get the government based on that. But if you are asking intelligent questions and you are waiting for evidence that is credible, that you can see, that is forensically ascertainable, you would know that in this country today, there is no person who has been in government who has the moral authority to come out and say, I've done well. Because it is your work that is going to show what you've done. And any journalist, any commentator who is asking questions as to whether someone has done well, when the state itself is feasible, you can see it, you can go there, you can see that people are still going through flooding in Onitsha as I speak to you. You can see the struggle that two governments after are facing. You can go to Oka, you can go to Amobia, you can go to the old Agwata Union, you can go around everywhere in the state, you can go to Bagana, you can go everywhere. The state is there. It's not like you don't need a visa to go to Anambra State. And it's not only Anambra State, it's also my state where I come from. It's also the same thing. Sokoto is everywhere. The Nigeria is like a dump site. So it is not a kind of a place where anyone can come out and say, I have been rulership for 8 years, I've been rulership for 4 years, and you should give me a second chance.
And so you think the youth have misplaced hopes placed on Peter Obi?
No, the youths are not misplaced any hope. The youths haven't voted. The youths are responding to everyone who has come out. And the youths are listening. They're not stupid. But if you come out in the name of Nigeria, if you come out in the name of giving an opportunity to be better, even if President Buhari is going anywhere after these 7 calamitous years, and our youths will still be following him. And I think that if Yaradua woke up today from the dead, you too will still follow him. If you take a politician to prison for corruption and he spends 10 years in prison, you too will welcome him when he's coming out. What I see in the youth is that they are hoping that, one, a good leader is going to come in this country, and that leader is going to govern according to the yearnings of the people. They are also hoping that some bad leaders or some leaders who have not performed well will have a change of mind and start doing what is right. So if you are a terrible leader in a terrible political party and you happen to just quit that party and go to a new party, the young people would always assume or would naturally assume that going from that party to another party means that you have had a change of mind. It's not as if they are blind to your record. They are saying, okay, among the people who are mismanaging our resources, who are hiding our money overseas, you find their names in all kinds of expose about stolen money hidden overseas, and those who will not pay workers, those who will steal local government funds. Among all of these people, at least 1 or 2 of them are changing their mind now and coming back to our side. Because the youth, if you are young, you are idealistic. When I was 18, I followed any leader who showed up because I wanted my country to be good.
What alternative does SDP provide as opposed to the legacy parties?
Well, the SDP has always, true to our tradition, we've always provided freshness. We tend to come to offer alternatives when the country is stuck. And we have a tradition right from the start to always provide someone who is fresh, who has a clean record, and who has a private sector background. We try to bring efficiencies. You will recall that in 1993, it was the party was a successful party in the presidential election. That's why you still have June 12th as Democracy Day today. And 30 years ago, we did exactly what we are doing now. We brought someone who had never been a councillor, who had never been a civil servant, who had never spent a day in government. And that was Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, MK Abiola. And at that time, he was running against people who had been in government all their life. And he won, and he was elected. So that's the approach we always take. We always go to the private sector.
There's a weakening economy as we speak. The Naira is crashing through the roof. What would SDP do? And an economy that is really burdened by debt. What would you do differently?
Well, first, we'll give you a different interpretation, because when you are diagnosing malaria for someone who essentially has just a case of diabetes, you would just be doing damage to the body and doing wrong treatment that is not going to cure the patient.
You have a bludgeoning debt profile. How are you going to tackle that? That's not going to go away. As it said, government is a continuum. So it's something you will have to deal with if you eventually make it.
Your wrong interpretation is what I will first remove. Nigeria doesn't have a weakened economy. Nigeria doesn't have a bludgeoning debt. Nigeria has two problems. And if you don't address those two problems, they'll be giving you fake symptoms.
A situation where debt servicing is far outpacing.
Yeah, because if you don't study the economy and you are repeating what government people are telling you, you will be confused and you will not be able to find a solution. Number one, there is no government. That's what is worrying you now. You should know that there is no government. How do you know that there's no government?
We have a president.
Yes.
We have a president in Aso Rock, and you're saying there's no government?
Okay, suppose we have a president, and instead of the president being in Aso Rock, the president goes to Daura, locks his door, and doesn't come out for 6 months. Will you still say you have a government? So the fact that he's locking himself up, not in Daura, but locking himself up in the villa, what's the difference? If you have a governor in a state and he doesn't do the work, you have no government. If you have a cleaner in the house, it doesn't clean, you have no cleaner. If you have a cook and doesn't enter the kitchen to cook, you have no cook.
So are you saying there's a government in absentia?
Of course, there is no government. There are incumbents who are enjoying the benefits of the office, but they're not doing the function. So because they're not doing the function, so if you have a police station, one on your right, and army barracks that's on your left, and armed robbers and bandits are coming to steal, kill, and maim you every night, would you still say we have security? You don't, but you have a police station next to you. So what you need to understand is that there's no government in Nigeria. There can be a government this moment if they wake up and start doing the job, but they're not. That's number one. Number two, they are doing stealing. All these things you call debt, revenue shortfall, and all of that is just a case of you trying to avoid the word stealing. They are stealing the money blind. So it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't stop the stealing and stealing blindly, and they are stealing in front of you, and for some reason, maybe out of, I don't know what it is, but I think the media is a bit lazy in not finding out what's the matter. The money is being stolen right in front of you. Even sometimes they arrest themselves and say, well, Accountant General of the Federation has stolen 190 billion. Accountant General of the Federation is not a big man. He's a very small person. And if that small person is taking 190 billion, then what do you think the ministers are doing? What do you think the people in the big house, in the villa are doing? What do you think the president himself is doing?
So you're saying the corruption, the anti-corruption mantra of the President Buhari administration is a failure?
I don't know about his mantra. I think the last time he spoke about corruption was when he was contesting. Maybe still, I don't know if you remember the word anymore. But what I'm saying to you is that I am kind of wondering, and that's what I've been experiencing since I started running for president. People ask me questions that are so obviously self-answering. You should know that where you are making 100 billion and somebody is stealing 99 billion, you should not be surprised if you are broke. So you shouldn't ask me, why is the economy bleeding? Who is buying the dollars? Can you ask your workers, your neighbors, when last they bought dollars? Why is dollar price going up? Who is buying it? For what reason? The same people. Did you not see the dollars being shared at Eagle Square when they were doing their convention? Did you not see EFCC going to the National Stadium? Have you seen anywhere in the world where a political party's convention is perceived by law enforcement as a crime scene? And they go there to stating obviously that they are looking for people who are sharing money.
So what would you do differently as in tackling corruption? What would you do differently if your government came into place to make sure to clean up the system? Practical steps.
It's not complicated. Corruption ends when the government stops stealing. There's nothing complicated about corruption. Don't let us go into it. Corruption ends the day a government comes that does not do the stealing. For every crime you see on the street, there are 10 committed inside the government. It's the government that is, you don't share power with the government. And I keep telling Nigerians, there is no government that wants to end corruption that will not end it. There's no government that wants to end banditry that will not end it. The government of Nigeria that wants to wipe Boko Haram out in 60 days will wipe Boko Haram out in 60 days.
So you believe there's complicity?
It's obvious that the people you call bandits and you want to wipe out are the people who are in government themselves. So unless you...
And the people that are holding the train hostages, are they not the bandits? Are they not the ISWAP? Are they not the Boko Haram people?
Have you been to other countries before?
They've been held for nearly 4 months in the bush.
Have you been to the bush? Is there any journalist in Nigeria who has gone to any bush? We have lazy media in this country. You just repeat because you see a video. Have you been to the bush? Where is the bush? That's the longitude and latitude of the bush. Where is the bush located? Have you not seen our colleagues all over the world who are in the media? They are the ones who will inform us what is going on. People sit in their studio and see a video on WhatsApp and see somebody in the bush. The fact that you saw somebody in the bush doesn't mean they're in the bush permanently. If they come to the bush and make video, did you know where Bin Laden was? Until Bin Laden was killed, that he was in a house somewhere, was he in the bush? What I'm saying to you is this. Let us face what is our problem. Our problem is that we don't have a government in place. So you have two options open to you. You either all come out and try to get the government that is there to work. That's my preference. I want President Buhari to succeed. But for him to succeed...
Even in the twilight of his administration, you say that it's a total failure, the 8 years.
There's no twilight.
Is there still hope? You're still hoping that he should be able to succeed?
Murtala Mohammed was president only for just 6 months.
For 6 months?
Yes, and that 6 months is a watershed. We have Murtala Mohammed Airport. We have Murtala Mohammed Highways. So one day in government can save millions of lives. So anything, I want to be president, but I want the president that is there now to succeed. So my duty first is to cry to the president, because the fact that you are president doesn't mean you know more than I do. Because the opportunities given to the president to know more than I do is for him to wake up in the morning, read the security briefings, check, compare to other things, seek help from different people, study the news, see who is talking, give them a call, talk to experts, and gather more intelligence and realize that, okay, some of these my lieutenants are lying to me, replace them, and things like that.
The president has replaced the service chiefs, and that doesn't seem to have brought the much sought after succor.
The president has not replaced service chiefs.
He has replaced the service chiefs?
That is not how to run the armed forces. You have not replaced any service chief.
So the people that he removed there are...
He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Uh-huh.
So And if you know the work of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces is to command them. So the fact that you remove chief of army and put another person, you didn't go with operational changes and anything like that, no new mandate, nothing, just a coronation. Nobody runs the army that way. I'm not going to be a commander-in-chief like that. Because if you look at the Nigerian Civil War, when there was a statement, when Adewole was the 3rd Marine Commando, they had a problem. And Gawan looked at it. He wasn't aware of the problem like it's typical of Nigeria for a long time. So when Gawan became aware of the problem that Adewole was having in that sector, he was aware 14 months late. So that shows to you the complexity of government. 14 months after he should have been aware. In fact, if you look at the story, you will notice that Gawan, as head of state, was in the Dodan barracks and assumed that Akinade was at the sector in Biafra, whereas Akinade was in Lagos. And when he got the report and said, why am I having all these reports? Why is Akinade not working on this? He said, Akinade is here.
We just
Then he sent for him, and Akinade came and said, well, I've been writing you all this while about my problems. You didn't answer me, so I'm here.
We just had the Kuje prison break,
Yes.
and we just had also the attack on the presidential guard as well. So what do you think the military, is the military not standing up for itself?
That's nothing to do with the military. That's not the military's job. The military does not come to guard prisons. The military does not operate inside the town. So it is a matter for intelligence, basically. So you don't, if you are carrying this your 3 cameras from here to Kuje prison to go and interview journalists, you think prisoners, you think you can enter Kuje prison with your cameras? How is someone able to carry guns to the place? Do you know the perimeter of a prison? Do you know how a prison is organized? A prison is a concentric circles. The place where you keep even if you enter the prison, there are some places inside the prison you cannot enter because they are also maximally secured inside the prison.
But the military is supposed to have responded when they had been overawed by the bandits.
It's not the job of the military to come to prisons. It's not.
When there's a security breach within the Federal Capital Territory, you don't think that the military has any role to play in that?
No, the only military that's supposed to be in Abuja is the presidential guards. So, in fact...
And these were the same presidential guards that we heard had been attacked just yesterday.
The presidential guards, we have 4 guards battalion, we have the guards brigade, it's a very big place. So if you have an encounter with 3 or 4 troops, which is less than a platoon, it's not a problem to them at all. What I want to let you know is that the security architecture is based on command. And every soldier acts on instruction. And the ultimate instructor general is the commander-in-chief. So the armed forces are not stupid. Nigerian army, if you ask them to take over, I'm not saying they're going to do so, but if you command them to take over Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, they will do so effectively. Nigerian army is very strong. Nigeria has about the 2nd strongest army in Africa.